Posted by Accord V6. Just found out that my 26M girlfriend, 22M, of 4 years is cheating on me. Need advice on what to do financially with our apartment. Quick background. We have been dating for almost 4 years and honestly never thought she would do this from everything I know about her. But I've had some suspicions about this one guy she works with for about a year now. I started going through her phone and there was nothing concrete, but it was obvious he was flirting with her, and I just heard some stuff and noticed some other stuff. I talked to her about him twice and both times she assured me there was nothing going on. We live together and she has no car and I have two, so I just let her use mine so she doesn't have to spend money on a new one for now. Well, I put a hidden camera and caught them kissing in my car. Emotionally I'm fine since I was expecting it from what I have seen in their texts, but want to see what I should do to move forward. Currently we have a lease on an apartment, but it says we can terminate early by giving a 60-day notice and pay about $2,500, which it's worth it to me. I just started a new job which is a 3-month contract to hire, so my plan was to wait it out those 3 months until I get the position permanently to let her know I found out and move out. Financially I'll be fine. I have plenty in saving luckily and family who will always help if I need it. Her on the other hand doesn't have a car and not much family other than her 2 sisters and a grandma who all are bad with money, plus she has no car, so I could leave now and she would be fucked, but that is not my problem anymore. What do you guys recommend on how to play this out? Thanks for any advice. Girlfriend of 4 years cheated on me. Need advice on how to confront her about it. Now let's see top comments. I'm on 35 comments. If you can make her pay the half of it by playing ignorant, that's fine. If you can pay it by yourself, it's good too. When the time comes for the separation, tell her, look, X, I know you are seeing someone else and I'm actually happy for you. I was checking out anyway. I wish you two the best. Then watch that trash go ballistic. I know it's petty, but so she is. 3 RD Duke of Stags replies, this is the best advice. It will leave her surprised. Stick it to her and give her consequences. Kurzaluz says, gonna third this. People who cheat are never willing to grow or even acknowledge they're bad unless you force them to self-reflect. Being trapped with grandma, no transportation, no boyfriend, a flaky AP who probably has 0 long-term interest and a big pile of debt will make you think about your life. The more she is hurt by her choices, the better she will become in the long run. Hell, this much damage may not even be enough for her to say, okay, maybe I'm a turd bucket and I need to be better than I am. She'd probably still get upset at you and be mad you left her instead of giving her a chance to cheat again. Vomit from Orbit Brother. Other comment by Ginger610, my ex-husband went to prison for violating his probation for DV. You think he learned a lesson over the 18 months? Absolutely not. Some people still blame shift and don't accept responsibility for their actions, no matter the punishment. Of course, my situation is definitely not the norm dealing with a sociopath. If you like our content, then please like, share and subscribe our channel. Now, for the next story posted by HarkerJohn63, after effects of attempting reconciliation post-separation, I'm finally reaching a point where I feel pretty much fully recovered from everything I went through, though there are still occasional things that sometimes press my buttons even 8 months on. Post-discovery, there were many things that she pulled on me that messed my head up even more than it already was. In a clearer state of mind I would have seen them straight away for what they were. This is the embarrassing part to admit. The first time she messed my head up to the extent that it took about a month before I walked away, and that was only because when I started digging I was just finding more and more evidence against her that showed me that her crazy moment of madness was only one of a number of men that had been going on since the time she was married before I even met her. She also reeled me in again for 4 months, before her behavior became so crazy that I finally could see her for what she really was. I'd also discovered this community at that point and started to realize some of the tricks she was pulling. It still gets under my skin that I didn't just walk away completely the first time. We don't often talk in here about what an attempt at reconciliation can do to your head and what it turns you into, and maybe we should so that other people have an awareness when they're in that position. It took a female friend to point out that my now ex was becoming increasingly abusive towards me, and why wouldn't she, because I'd effectively let her get away with everything and still come back for me to see my situation with a clear head. This was after a situation where my now ex had sat in my car and literally screamed in my face for 20 minutes because I'd asked another female friend for some advice on a work-related matter instead of coming to her Things I had to deal with that majorly messed with my head as I tried to process what I was uncovering. I'm sharing this as I'm genuinely curious to know if other people have experienced the same things. Why did you do it? Her. There are no answers. Stop asking me questions. You're just trying to humiliate me. What actually happened? How many men? When? Her. I can't remember any of this stuff. Stop asking me these questions. Can I see your phone? The biggest explosion you can imagine, screaming fury along with accusations of me trying to control her. In response to any criticism of her behavior in this, I got a counter-criticism relating to me, but it was always something like, well, you bought the wrong color of paint for my kitchen 3 years ago, as if that were somehow comparable. When I reduce these to words, they don't actually sound like much at all, but when they're full blast, screamed in your face, over and over again, they start to mess with your head. The reconciliation attempt did things to my head. Admittedly, they weren't caused by her, but they were very much triggered by her actions. I found myself checking every digital device she had on a daily basis. I would let myself into her house at lunchtime on her birthday and Valentine's Day just in case she'd got any mysterious cards. Big track record of that. But the worst thing is what it does to your mind anytime her phone beeps, or she's suddenly working late, etc., etc. I found myself almost paralyzed and mentally hijacked with thoughts of what she might be getting up to. I honestly don't understand how reconciliation can ever work. Maybe some people are just more determined than I was, or stronger-willed, but my gut instinct is that the injured party is always going to end up continuing to be worse off in more ways than they can ever imagine until they go through the experience. This really turned out to be a rather long-winded ramble. I don't even know why I put down half the stuff I did, but it has helped in letting some of these niggles finally go. Now let's see top comments. Keysalary7013. This is why reconciliation is a complete waste of time in my experience. All you're doing is sentencing yourself to an emotional prison where you're in a state of constant confusion and mental movies of the two of them together. You'll spend the best years of your life playing marriage police. And for what? Because of kids? Because of the amount of time you have together? That's nothing but codependency at its finest. Here's the thing, you can't force someone to love and respect you. It doesn't matter if they give you all their passwords, allow themselves to be tracked, and agree to sign a post-nup. At the end of the day, either they love you enough to not stray or they don't. The vast majority of cheaters will fall right back into their old habits once they think the coast is clear. I see too many guys on here who obviously lack self-respect taking back their cheater out of fear of loneliness and because of the fact they have kids. It makes me want to vomit after hearing their stories. In my opinion, the only way a reconciliation is even remotely possible is when the old marriage is killed off both literally and legally with a divorce. This way, if you two decide to give it another go, it'll be with a clean slate. Harker John 63 says the mental movies is a perfect description of what it's like. It would hit me every single day and reduce me to a gibbering wreck. In the end, nothing is worth what a reconciliation will do to your brain, your self-esteem and the erosion of your mental well-being. Certainly not some skanky slapper who can't keep her knickers on. Rustic Surgery comments some people are genuinely remorseful. Op. My ex wasn't, but I suspect that's why it works. Sometimes. Harker John 63 Op replies, before it happened to me, I'd actually just assumed that everyone in that position would feel remorseful. Mine never did. It was all just rationalized away and justified in her head. Maybe that's what made it so hard. Rustic Surgery says, I'm sorry, Op. I know where you are coming from. My wife of 20 years conducted 2 affairs simultaneously. She tried to blame it on me, as if I drove into the arms of 2 other men. That was a good while ago. She never expressed remorse. I kept contact at issues involving our child only. She died last year after a 6-month illness. She never took responsibility. And Op replies, mine had at least 3, and I'm under no illusions that what I discovered was just the tip of the iceberg. I spent a long time trying to understand how all this worked in her head, how she could be angry at me for finding her out, how she would try to shift the blame onto me using reasons that just didn't make any sense. It took me a very long time, with a lot of reading of posts in here, to see that I was probably never going to understand how it all worked in her head, if it even did to herself. I'm still curious, even though I've left the emotional baggage of it behind me now. She'd done this her entire life. She would argue that everyone does it, they just don't talk about it, so you never know. The few friends she had were all doing it and no doubt validating everything to each other. How any human being is capable of reinterpreting their own actions to this extent still eludes me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and also subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the notification bell as well.